You open the application, you see bad news and a red candle, and your hand hits the sell button before you have fully thought it through. The next day, the price bounces a little, you buy back in, then you regret it, then you blame yourself, then you promise that next time will be different. But it is not different. You lose sleep again. You no longer trust yourself. The problem is not the market. The problem is that you do not have a one-page set of rules to lean on. Your goals blur, your risk limits are vague. You do not have a checklist for when to stay put and emotion barges in. You guess again. You change course again. You ignore the real cause. The result is a portfolio torn to shreds, buying high-selling low fees piling up, and good opportunities drifting past right in front of you. Worse, you lose faith in yourself, and once that faith is cracked, every decision after that shakes. You hide your mistakes again. You keep blaming yourself. You are afraid to open the application. In truth, you do not lack information. You lack a guardrail that forces you to stop before emotion shoves you. You need a switch when to evaluate, when to stand still, when to simply write it down and carry it into the next day. How many times have you promised to stay calm? Do you dare to face the old mistakes? Do you want peace of mind or do you want excitement? If you keep operating without a rules framework, the loop of second-guessing regret and self-blame will go on. A one-page investment policy statement will not make you rich overnight, but it will block the usual mistakes and give control back to you. Do not chase. Stand firm. Do not talk to impress. Do the right thing. Clear goals, clear risk, clear stop points. You do not need another emotional shove. You need a commitment that is written down, visible, and obeyed. From here, we will break down the one-page framework so you have a fence that protects your decisions from the noise. Start with the pain, name the real cause, fix it at the root. Chapter 1, Missing a Rules Framework. Why you keep changing strategy. You open the application on a tired afternoon. Bad news flashes. A long red candle stretches down. Your heart beats faster than usual. Before you finish reading the context, your finger slides to the sell button just to escape the fear swelling in your chest. You breathe hard. You exit in a rush. You tell yourself, next time I will be calm. When there are no rules written down, the brain takes the emotional shortcut and shoves you into short-term choices to relieve immediate discomfort. The relief you feel in that moment makes you think it is right, but it actually locks you into a dangerous reflex loop. You get temporary comfort. You lose the long view. You lose yourself. You think the market is the culprit, but the real cause is that you do not have a minimal framework to lean on when the waters get rough. Without a framework, every fluctuation becomes a legitimate excuse to change course and call it flexibility, even though underneath it is panic. You cling to feelings. You ignore the data. You legitimize fear. Without a framework, the brain prioritizes cutting pain over pursuing goals, so it chooses the easy action now instead of the right decision later. You chase the easy move and call it experience, but that experience only teaches you how to lose systematically without knowing it. You change strategy constantly. You break the compounding rhythm. You slowly lose trust. Each day, you must see this principle clearly. No plan means emotion is driving every decision you believe is rational. You must distinguish noise from information, the wave from the direction, short-term pain from long-term goals. You win by putting principles before emotion, reasons before reactions, commitments before temporary comfort. When you see the mechanism correctly, you finally have a chance to fix the right problem instead of polishing the surface in vain. When was the last time you changed strategy because of fear? Who is responsible when you do not have a single line of writing that binds you? Are you choosing data or choosing feelings to decide the path of your financial future? You tend to repeat 3 familiar moves after each drop, close the losing position in a hurry, jump back in when you see a bounce, then read more news to soothe yourself. You add a new reason for every change of heart and call it quick reaction so you can forgive yourself. You promise to stay calm next time, then forget that promise the moment the screen turns red again. All of this becomes a habit. Whenever discomfort appears, you choose the fastest move to dull the pain, even if the price is missing the goal you once wanted. Do not rush to decide. Check your principles. Do not chase fear. Check the context. Do not chalk it up to luck. Name the exact emotion that is driving you. Do not follow the crowd. Follow the plan you wrote. Do not inflate bad news. Weigh its actual impact. Do not rename mistakes. Recognize them as they are. These choices expose a truth: you do not lack information. You lack a framework that forces you to pause before you press the button. Clear goals, clear risk boundaries. Clear reasons to hold. Less noise, less reflex, less regret. When the first three shine, the last three shrink, and you regain your footing in the waves instead of being lifted and carried away. When you are tired, when you are bored, when no one is applauding, you are more likely to choose comfort over correctness. When the news is loud and heavy, when the trading screen is red, when you feel alone with your decision, your brain demands an immediate reward. In those moments without a framework, you will lose to reflex. A simple framework does not make the waves smaller, but it keeps you from feeling small in front of the waves. You win by anchoring yourself to one simple spine state. Your goal state, your risk boundary, and state your reason to hold so clearly that there is no confusion. Clear goals, clear boundaries, clear reasons. From this spine, the brain has a fulcrum, so it does not lunge after feelings every time the market changes color for a few minutes. You do not need another layer of tricks. You need a foundation so emotion no longer decides for you. Have you ever stopped and asked, if nothing binds me in writing, what am I relying on to claim I was right? Have you ever faced yourself and asked, did I change because of fear or because the data is strong enough to change my thesis? Have you ever decided, if I cannot answer with principles, I am not allowed to change course just because I see red? When you lack a framework, you befriend two things: impulsiveness and rationalization. Impulsiveness gives you a feeling of freedom. Rationalization gives you a bedtime story, and your portfolio pays for both. You think you are in control, but the noise is pulling you because you have not set rules to limit it. Each time you carve a behavioral groove that becomes harder and harder to erase. Do not blame the market. Name the gap. Do not chase inside information. Chase principles. Do not paint the story with emotion. Layer the facts. Do not self-soothe. Take responsibility. Do not use words to cover. Use truth to illuminate. Do not add new reasons. Erase excuses. Only when you name the battlefield correctly do your efforts hit the target instead of wasting energy on beautiful but useless maneuvers. Look again at three wounds you often ignore after each sudden change of mind: lost opportunity, lost sleep, and lost trust in yourself. Missing opportunities is the visible price. Losing trust is the hidden price. Lost sleep is the bridge between them that lets mistakes repeat. On the outside, you look fine, but inside you start avoiding the trading screen, avoiding real conversations, and avoiding yourself. When you avoid, you stop learning. You only wait for luck to knock as a temporary balm. Each day, remember one simple formula without a plan. Emotion leads. With a plan, data leads. You must dare to ask questions before you place an order. Dare to pause one beat before you press the button, and dare to take responsibility before you assign blame. You win by staying clear long enough for the wave to pass, and only then giving yourself the right to evaluate for real. These three statements repeated long enough will reshape the grooves in your brain without any cheerleading. Do you want to keep reacting and collecting regret, or do you want to begin building principles for yourself? Will you let fear schedule your decisions, or will you set a minimal framework so fear does not have the deciding vote? Will you look straight at the gap called plan, or will you call it winging it one more time? Name the mechanism before you fix it. Look straight at the gap called plan. Place responsibility on the right person. That person is you. Tomorrow the waves may be bigger, The news may be louder, and you will still be you. If you still lack a framework, you will still be pulled by immediate comfort instead of the right thing you once believed. In the next chapter, you will see the price of investing without clear principles and why that price is often higher than you think. Chapter 2. The Behavior Gap. The consequences of investing without a one-page investment policy statement. Your portfolio does not go down because of one bad headline. It goes down because you change your mind too quickly right after the bad headline. Today you chase the crowd, tomorrow you yank the entire portfolio out. The week after that, you stitch together a new story to comfort yourself. You lose rhythm, you lose sleep, you lose trust in yourself. Constant strategy switching wears down profits and erodes your faith in yourself faster than any single drop ever could. Each time you press the button out of emotion, you lay another brick in the wall that separates your goals from your actual results. The gap grows, the self-blame grows, the fear grows. Volatility. A portfolio that chases hot news is like a boat that turns its bow with every gust of wind, leaving nothing but broken wakes across the lake by day's end. You stare at the wavy chart and still do not know why your compounding line keeps breaking, even though you read a lot and you read the news fast. Wavy results, wavy mindset, wavy sleep. This section has one job: to name the consequences on your thinking, on your behavior, and on your results so you can see the price you're paying. No solutions, no new tricks, no quick tips. Just stand still long enough in front of the mirror to see yourself clearly. Be blunt first, be honest first, admit it first. Each day, audit the impact of the emotional decision you call flexible yesterday when the screen turned red. Look straight at how many times you change your mind for no good reason with not a single written principle to sign the decision, even if that choice briefly soothed your fear. You win by cutting needless motion, cutting the stories that excuse you, and cutting every action that only buys a few hours of comfort. Cutting needless motion gives compounding speed back to the long road you said you wanted. When was the last time you bought near a small peak because you feared missing out, then sold just under a small bottom because you feared a loss? Who pays the bill for one quick skim at the top, driven by fear of loss, when the ones who carry it are your portfolio and your self-trust? Do you want long-term profit or a moment of comfort followed by weeks of regret? Wasted capital, wasted emotional energy, wasted opportunity. Slower compounding, slower learning, slower trust in yourself. These two chains of three quietly pull you backward every time you think you're reacting fast when you're actually reacting in a hurry. The behavior gap is not noisy. It quietly keeps your results below what you already know on paper. Do not chase headlines. Follow your thesis. Do not listen to noise. Check the data. Do not see red and sell. Examine the real cause. Do not collect excuses, collect evidence. Do not patch the story, accept reality. Do not rename a mistake, record the mistake for what it is. These opposing pairs split the road in two: steady, slow, compounding on one side, constant swings and a flat year on the other. You often sit in front of the screen for a long time. The longer you stare, the more you act. The more you act, the more fees you pay. The more fees you pay, the less profit you keep. You think you are working hard, but you are paying for your restlessness with transaction costs and an emotional tax that never refunds you. Fees climb, focus drops, outcomes thin out. When nothing in writing ties your hands, emotion beats reason at the exact moment you are tired, hungry, or craving proof that you are still in control. You think doing something to feel less anxious is the solution, when doing something without principle only turns anxiety into an expensive decision. You rush out, you rush back in, you rush yourself into exhaustion. Each day, ask one blunt question: did yesterday's decision create value, or did it only create a few hours of relief from discomfort? Add up every fee, every spread in price difference, every missed opportunity from jumping in and out, and compare that to the real benefit you kept. You win by embracing the quiet pause that lets data ripen, lets the thesis clarify, and saves you from paying more invisible tuition. That is silent discipline. It has no spotlight, but it has results. Have you ever bought the top and sold the bottom out of impatience? Or do you believe that only happens to other people who pays for one quick skim, taken out of fear of loss, when the portfolio pays fees twice and your trust gets scarred twice? Will you stop to diagnose your own system errors, or will you write another new story to forgive yourself? Wasted capital, wasted emotional energy, wasted expectations, slower calm, slower clarity, slower self-respect. When the layers of wasted and slower stack up, your investing is no longer strategy. It becomes a chain reaction of fear. That reaction always chooses the shortest path to comfort instead of the longest path to the right result. Do not call impatience flexibility. Call it what it is: fear of missing out. Do not call hesitation caution. Call it what it is: fear of responsibility. Do not collect more explanations. Collect evidence. Do not cling to the old story. Admit the distortion. Do not cover your eyes with words. Open your eyes with truth. From here on, every change of mind must pass through one door, called the real reason, not the good-sounding reason. You say you read a lot, but reading more does not automatically mean better decisions if you change your mind to the rhythm of the news every time you finish reading. You say you monitor closely, but close monitoring is not an edge without a framework that governs behavior. You add information, you add worry, you add actions. Each day, put 3 honest lines on the table. Did yesterday's choice come from a thesis or from an itchy urge to do something right now? Count how many times you change your mind without cause and write down the price you paid so that price stops being invisible and becomes a number you must respect. You win by cutting in half the baseless decisions, cutting in half the self-justifications, and cutting in half the almost stories. When extra motion shrinks, compounding has room to grow. Do you want long-term profit or a brief comfort followed by long regret across a flat equity curve? Do you want to trust your own hands or keep renaming fear as winging it every time the market changes color? Do you want a portfolio that matures or emotions that keep repeating beginner class year after year? Wasted opportunity, wasted time, wasted attention, slower to own mistakes, slower to adjust, slower to return to the long path. These forms of waste and delay do not show up on the quote screen. They show up in a habit of postponing the right lesson until it is too late. At that point, you are not short of knowledge. You are short of the courage to name your poor habits. You do not need more luck. You need fewer poor behaviors. You do not need more noise. You need less urge to do something right now. You do not need more slogans. You need one fewer baseless click. Do not blame the cycle. Acknowledge the psychological cycle. Do not blame the news. Acknowledge the habit of pressing the button when your heart races. Do not blame anyone else. Take responsibility for your own portfolio. When language changes, behavior changes, and only then do results have a chance to change. The days without applause are the days the lesson sinks deepest because it is just you and the silence telling the truth. The days of blazing red are the days your investing identity shows up most clearly because all the pretty excuses fall off the page. On those days, you can stand still. You can admit the mistake. You can keep the compounding line intact. You win by telling one story less, making one jump less, finding one excuse less. You let results sign their name while emotion sits in the back seat. Less noise, less reflex, less regret. When those 3 shrink, what remains is the compounding track you wanted from the beginning, quiet but thickening bit by bit. That is the profit of discipline, not the profit of luck. Have you looked straight at your portfolio and asked, am I losing because of the market or because of my own habit of changing my mind? Have you told yourself, if I cannot prove it with evidence, I do not have permission to change course? just because I saw red for a few sessions in a row. Have you accepted the behavior gap is the real price, and I am the one who signs the invoice? Once you really see the price, you are ready to change. You do not need more luck. You need fewer poor behaviors. When you can say those two lines without your hands shaking, the road ahead will be smoother than you think. Next, you take back control with a clear statement of responsibility that carries your own name. Chapter 3, take responsibility. Write the rules, first emotion comes after. There are days when the market changes color in a few minutes and you change your mind in a few seconds just to worry less. There are also days when not a single line of writing stands up to remind you that emotion is not allowed to decide in place of your goals. You look at the screen, you change direction in a rush, you get mad at yourself. You are the one who sets the rules, and you are the only one responsible for keeping the rules you wrote even when the storm is inside you. If there are no rules, the brain will choose the shortest path to comfort, and that path usually leads you away from what is right. You endure in silence. You make excuses for yourself. You keep repeating the pattern. Let us be direct. Emotion is not the enemy. Irresponsibility is the enemy. Emotion needs a guide, not a throne. If you do not set the rules first, emotion will be crowned every time the market frowns and will pull you away from what you once believed. You change because you are afraid. You hold because you are reluctant. You drift because it feels familiar. Each day, choose rules over emotion. You must sign your name under your own principles. You win by repeating what you promised. This is not pretty talk. This is a backbone. Rules go first. Emotion goes second. Results follow like a shadow follows the body. When the order is restored, you stop paying for fear in the form of decisions that look good on the surface but are empty inside. You waver less, you justify less, you regret less. Have you ever written your own investing rules, or have you only borrowed someone else's words for temporary comfort? Who will call you back when emotion rises, if not you, the person who signed an unmistakable principle? Will you act by rules or by moods, choose a durable identity or chase seasonal wins on the screen? Picture yourself in front of a blank page, naming what you will do and what you will not do, just to separate yourself from the wave that is shouting. Picture one simple, clear sentence that can stop your hand before the button because it reminds you who is in control. You breathe more slowly. You stand still for one beat. You remember why you started. Do not blame the market. Own your share of responsibility. Do not wait for luck. Hold to the plan. Do not call impatience flexibility. Call it what it is, fear. Do not borrow pretty stories to cover things. Use truth to illuminate. Do not ask for a shortcut. Ask for a straight path. Do not wait for calm seas. Prepare to be calm. These opposing pairs pull you back into the role of decision maker, not the person being decided for. When language changes, places behavior, changes places, and emotion steps off the throne when it no longer holds power. Write on pen, obey, calm, clear, commit. The first three build the outer frame. The next three build the inner pillars. They meet at one word: responsibility. When responsibility has a name, emotion has a place, and results have a path. When you are tired, when you are bored, when no one is applauding, you will want to tear up the rules for a little relief. When the news is loud, when the screen is red, when you are alone with your decision, you will want to do something immediately. That is human instinct. That is not courage. That is certainly not principle. You win by letting emotion sit in the back seat, letting principles hold the map, and letting results go first ahead of the performance. You win by naming fear, naming greed, and naming the habit of self-justifying. You win by remembering who you are when no one is watching. When you remember, you can keep yourself in position even if the waves rise one notch higher. Have you asked yourself, am I acting because of rules or because of mood, because of data, or because of an itchy urge to press and be done? Have you admitted, if there is no line that binds me today, I will invent a new story to forgive myself? Have you answered honestly, I am ready to let rules sign every decision, even when my emotions are shouting? Write, name, keep, name, look, accept, keep, live, prove. These 9 lines drop like anchors, keeping the boat from swinging its bow at every strange gust. Do not rename mistakes as experience. Call them mistakes. Do not hate emotion. Teach emotion to wait. Do not run from responsibility. Stand under your own name. Do not ask for an audience. Ask for truth. Do not chase praise. Chase what is right. Do not collect slogans. Collect moments of doing the right thing when no one sees. You are not looking for a miracle. You are returning to a healthy order. Rules first, emotion second, results to follow. This order does not need cheerleaders. It needs a person who keeps promises. Each day, repeat the spine rules over emotion. You must sign your name to what you believe, not to what you fear. You win by repeating what you promised until you no longer need to promise it because it has become the way you live. That is quiet grit. It is not loud, but it carries weight when it matters. Have you noticed how easily you compromise when there is not one word forbidding you in a tired moment? Have you noticed how easily you act on impulse when there is not one word telling you to wait one more beat? Have you noticed how easily you justify when there is not one word naming the real issue? Write, pin, remind, look, speak, keep, choose, stand, go. These triads are not slogans. They are markers that tell you that you have not drifted. You do not need more theory. You need more responsibility. You do not need more noise. You need more order. You do not need more leaders. You need more of yourself. You do not need more promises. You need to keep the ones you made. You do not need prettier words. You need real actions. You do not need guaranteed calm. You need the courage to do the right hard thing. From here, emotion learns to follow, and right action learns to lead exactly as it should. You return each part of you to its rightful place. You are the one who sets the rules and the one who keeps them. No one can sign for you. No one can pay for you the prices you have paid. If you do not step forward, emotion will step in. If you do not say, I own it, habit will say, I will decide. You choose who. You choose how. You choose which identity. When responsibility is clear, direction is clear. Written rules begin to carry weight when you dare to let them test you in hard moments, not just hang them up in easy ones. You know your fulcrum. You know your position. You know what is right. In the next chapter, we will shine a light on the one-page structure so the rules framework appears clearly, compactly, and without confusion. You are not stepping in to collect more slogans. You are stepping in to see a backbone, 5 parts that are enough, and an order that keeps you on the long road. You are ready. You have taken the driver's seat. You move forward with a steady spine. Chapter 4, the 5-part frame, the backbone of a one-page IPS. You have walked through pain and responsibility. Now it is time to face the minimal frame that lets you stand steady in the noise. On a single sheet of paper, 5 simple sections sit side by side like clear mile markers, so you no longer have to feel your way through fog. You see order, you see boundaries, you see roles. A lean IPS has 5 parts: goals, allocation, risk, limits, rebalancing, rules, and when not to act. These 5 are not decoration. They are the spine that gives your decisions something to grip and gives your emotions somewhere to sit. Lean so you can use it. Clear so you can understand it. Practical so you can keep it. Without a frame, every new headline becomes a new excuse to change course and rewrite the story you finished yesterday. Without a frame, you pay in fees and miss chances and entrust the hardest thing to build and the easiest thing to chip. You lose your rhythm. You lose the thread. You lose yourself. Every day, remember the 5 markers the way you remember your home address. So no matter how far you roam, you can still find your way back. You must know what question each part answers, so you do not confuse what you want with what the market is whispering. You win by keeping the frame consistent so every decision answers the same set of questions that cannot be misunderstood. The frame does not act for you. The frame forces your answers through the same clear doorway. Do you already have all 5 parts, or is there a missing link that makes you change your mind more than you realize? Will you write them down so you can audit your own behavior? Or are you still waiting for a signal to rescue your rush of habit? Will you choose one clear page or 10 tangled pages, a compass, or a passing feeling in the moment? Picture a single page right in front of you where each part stands in the right place and answers its right question without shoving the others aside. Picture holding your decisions up to it and seeing at once whether they align or do not, whether they are reasoned or rationalized, whether you should act or stay put. You hesitate less. You circle less. You free associate less. Do not spread into vagueness. Gather into 5 points. Do not tell a story to sound clever. Cross-check to be clear. Do not be heavy with words. Be heavy with discipline. Do not speak to impress. Write to make plain. Do not call luck a strategy. Call principles your pillars. Do not pick pretty ideas. Pick true ones. This set of opposites pulls you out of the habit of say anything and make it sound right and moves you into the space of right in a way you will accept responsibility. Compact, clear, easy to use, sufficient, necessary, in the right place. These 2 tricolons are the traits of a frame that works on ordinary days, not just one that looks good on exciting days. When one page meets those 6 words, you have a tool that keeps you steady when no one is watching. Goals answer the question, why you invest, not why someone else invests. And goals are the first marker. Allocation is the picture of the role of each asset group in the portfolio. It speaks about weight and duty, not prediction. Risk limits are the fence you build around the garden so you know when to stop and when to return to the old trail. Rebalancing rules are the gauge that brings weights back to the center line instead of bending with every sharp curve. When not to act is the list of moments when you close the book, put the mouse away, and wait out the storm like someone who knows how to be still at the right time. Do you see that each part has one central question and its own role, and none borrows the job of another? Do you see that when the question is sharp, the answer is short, and when the question is fuzzy, the answer grows long and still misses the point? Are you ready to go deep into each part, starting with goals and risk, so your axis stands firm against the waves? Every day, look at one page to remind yourself that every decision must pass a frame check instead of taking the shortcut of emotion. You must respect the boundary between why and what to do, so action does not jump ahead before the reason shows up. You win by forcing every doubt back to one fixed set of questions and only then allowing yourself to choose a direction. That is how you turn principles into habit and habit into identity. Have you ever asked, why am I exhausted every time I must decide when one page could cut the drag in half? Have you ever admitted every tangle starts because it is unclear which part of the frame this question belongs to? Have you ever agreed to stop? If I cannot identify the part, I do not have the right to press the button. Compact, concise, complete in meaning, clear, consistent, accountable. That is the standard a sentence must meet to earn its place in an IPS. It is not to look pretty on the page. It is to let you see, because every word in the frame must work. There is no room for comfort phrases. When you are tired, you will be tempted to add one vague line for peace of mind. One vague line opens the door for 10 excuses to walk in. When you are bored, you will be tempted to skip the hard question. Skipping the hard question unlocks old reflexes. Do not trim the core. Do not loosen the bolts. Do not soothe yourself with softness. You win by making every decision pass through 5 checkpoints like 5 gates, with no gate allowed to be skipped. You win by honoring the role of each section instead of using one section to justify another based on a temporary preference. You win by keeping the order, reason first role, first risk, first adjustment, first and then silence when needed. When this order holds your long road becomes less bumpy, do you already have all 5 parts? Or is there a missing link that makes you reverse course the moment breaking news flashes? Will you choose 1 clear page or 10 cluttered pages, a frame you can use today, or a tale that only sounds good? Will you write it down so you can govern your own behavior, or will you keep handing the wheel to the next morning's wave? Compact, clear, in control. Sufficient, necessary, discipline. These are not slogans. They are the minimum standard for a page to be called a frame, not a piece of prose. A good frame does not make you giddy. It makes you consistent. Do not dump everything into one section. Give each thing a place. Do not play the storyteller. Play the law writer. Do not ramble. Be brief and controlled. Do not compromise with vague wording. Force it to say one thing cleanly. Do not fear hard questions. Invite them to the table. Do not apologize for being strict. Be grateful that strictness keeps you safe. From here on, each part of the frame becomes a gentle but firm reminder, so you are no longer carried by the momentum of old habits. Every day, repeat the order of the 5 parts the way you would repeat the names of 5 trusted friends in your own financial journey. You must read the title of each section before you even think about the answer, so your mind does not jump to the part that feels more pleasant. You win by letting questions lead and not letting mood hold the wheel. Then you will make fewer decisions, but each one will land. Fewer to go deeper, slower to be surer, calmer to go farther. Have you ever asked, why must the frame be lean enough to fit on one page? And does that not risk leaving things out? Have you ever seen the denser the words, the easier the loopholes, the more space for fear to slip in and rename your decision? Have you ever accepted one page is enough because it forces me to say exactly what needs saying, not one word more? Lean, right, durable, clear, direct, true. You do not write for someone else to praise. You write so you can keep yourself. You do not write for the good days. You write for the hard days. A frame proves its value when things are difficult, not when things are convenient. Do not add metaphors when you do not need them, but you may think of the frame as a compass in your pocket every time you head out the door. Do not worship the words, but you may treat the frame like a straight edge to redraw the line when your hand shakes. A compass to point the way. A straight edge to draw the line. One page to bring you back. Every day you may forget many things. Do not forget why those 5 parts were born and for whom they stand there. You must answer for yourself. Do the 5 parts still fit the person you are becoming, or are you using them to excuse what you want right now? You win by keeping the frame in service to you, not to your emotions, not to a story you want to hear. When the roles are clear, the frame becomes a proper gatekeeper. Are you ready to go deep into each part, starting with goals and risk? Or do you want to stay with the comfort of vagueness? Are you willing to let words do the work instead of ornaments to let clarity replace the power of habit? Are you willing to let one page be the gatekeeper with you as the final person accountable? Compact, clear, ready to use. Sufficient, necessary, in the right place. The frame has taken shape, and it asks you to honor it by honoring yourself when you decide. From here on, you no longer ask, what should I do? You ask, which part does this belong to? Do not run around looking for tricks. Stop and look at the frame. Do not get lost in the noise. Come back to the 5 questions. Do not let feelings drive. Buckle them into the passenger seat. Do not sketch more words. Carve away the fog. Do not wait for a fair weather day. Prepare for the rough one. Do not talk about discipline. Put it into every box. When everything is in its box, you will feel your calm return slowly as a new reflex. Every day you only need to remember 1 page, 5 sections, 1 order, 1 responsibility. You must be ready for every answer to pass through the same doorway, whether it is sunny or raining outside. You win by letting the frame become a pattern, the pattern become a habit, and the habit become an identity. That is how you pour a foundation that is hard to crack. Do you already have all 5 parts, or are you still missing a when not to act section that stops your hand at the right time? Will you choose one clear page or 10 noisy pages, usable consistency, or promises you cannot keep? Will you write it down so you can govern yourself, or are you still hoping someone will show up to tell you to stop? The frame has taken shape. The 5 markers stand in their proper places, ready to work when you need them. Begin with the most important part so the axis locks at the root before you go farther. Next comes how to define goals and risk limits so every decision knows what it serves and which boundary it must not cross. Chapter 5, Goals and Risk, write it clearly. You already have a 1-page frame. Now it is time to set the first 2 pillars so every decision locks in and stops drifting. You will write one short, plain goal sentence, then state the maximum risk boundary you accept before any feeling can push in. Write it clearly, record it succinctly, use it in real decisions. A clear goal and a specific risk limit are the foundation that lets every step afterward stand firm without you guessing under stress. Once the base is solid, every time the market changes color, you only need to read your own words instead of borrowing someone else's story to soothe yourself. You fumble less, you scramble less, you regret less. Open the page and write one goal sentence in everyday language that states plainly why you invest and what you will protect at all costs. Then directly under the goal, write the maximum risk boundary you allow in each decision and for the whole portfolio, so you do not cross the line you already committed to. 1 line for the goal, 1 line for risk, 1 signature. Every day, read your investing reason to remember what you serve, not the ups and downs of the news cycle. You must set the risk boundary before you decide, because setting it afterward means setting it when you are tired, when you are afraid, when you only want to press the button and be done. You win by not crossing the boundary you wrote, no matter how loud the waves or how large the crowd. Foundation first. Only then is the house worth living in for the long run. What exactly are you investing for? For whom and why is that worth turning down a few days of comfort? Who pays when you cross a boundary you set yourself when both your portfolio and your mind will pay twice? Do you choose to write it clearly now, or keep letting vague choices drag you into a nameless spiral? Put pen down and write the goal, using a simple formula: I invest to achieve this for this person, and I accept trading off that. Put eyes down and write the risk boundary in a way that cannot be misunderstood. I must not cross this line in a single decision, and I must not cross that line across the entire portfolio. Every word is clear. Every line is complete in meaning. Every decision is accountable. Do not make the goal vague. Hit the target. Do not speak to sound good. Speak to be correct. Do not use fancy words. Make the sentence do work. Do not hide risk. Spell it out. Do not move the boundary. Hold the boundary. Do not legitimize emotion. Put emotion in the back seat. These pairs of opposites pull you out of the storytelling zone and into the zone where you sign and accept responsibility. And when the signature is present, the habit of excuse is absent. Reason, boundaries, discipline, practical, calm, steady. These 2 3-part chains are the litmus test for every sentence you're about to write. If one piece is missing, one pillar of clarity is missing. When all 6 are present, you have a base that does not slip. Think of the goal as the front door. If you do not label it clearly, anyone can walk in and arrange the furniture to their taste. Think of the risk boundary as the fence around the yard. If you do not put it up from the start, footsteps will trample the seedlings you just planted. The door must be shut. The fence must be up. The garden must be protected. Every day before you touch the portfolio, skim that one goal line to remind your brain where you are going and for whom you go. You must check every new idea against the written risk boundary to see whether it deserves to carry risk into the house. You win by letting ideas pass through the gate of writing, not the gate of mood, so only ideas that meet the standard may stand inside the portfolio. It is a quiet process, but it is deeply fair to you. What are you protecting when you invest a concrete future or the feeling of being busy and useful? What will you say to yourself if you cross the boundary today because of a surprise headline and have to pay double tomorrow? Do you want to be proud because you kept your word, or comfort yourself with, everybody makes mistakes each time you press beyond the limit? If your hand tends to shake at decision time, put your sentence between you and the button so it slows you by one beat. If your heart tends to race when you see red on the screen, post one line, do not cross the written boundary right where your eyes land like a stop sign. One beat slower, one beat pause, one beat clearer. Do not wait for emotions to cool before you look for a boundary. Set the boundary when your head is clear. Do not ask for an exception when it is hard. Ask for a principle that holds every time. Do not wait for someone else to approve. Approve yourself. Do not blame missing information. Admit missing commitment. Do not hide mistakes in vague wording. Put them in the light of clear words. You will feel your sense of agency return as a habit, not as a short-lived burst. And agency is the only thing that can stand beside long-term discipline. Reason, limits, order, words, signature, action. These are two short ladders to step from intention to commitment, from commitment to execution, from execution to peace. Each rung has a name, and each rung needs your foot long enough to matter. Every day repeat one line: I serve the goal, not the feeling. You must stop if a new decision pushes you beyond the written boundary, no matter how clever the explanation sounds. You win by letting your signature be louder than the noise, by letting one risk line be stronger than a wave of panic. That is how you grow in quiet. What exactly are you investing for? For whom and why? Is it worthy of your consistency on the bad days? Who else is impacted if you cross the boundary you set besides your portfolio, other than your self-respect for the words you signed? After setting the goal, are you ready to lock in an allocation that serves the goal, instead of serving moods that swing with the news? Reason, risk, boundary, promise. Do not cross, do not rush, do not rationalize. When these 6 live together on one page, you will feel the room inside you grow quiet, even if the outside is still loud. That quiet is the advantage you need for a long journey. Do not change the wording after the fact. Keep the wording and hold it up to the light. Do not bend the boundary to fit the moment. Bend the idea to fit the boundary. Do not call fear prudence. Call it by its name and handle it after. Do not write for others to read. Write for you to execute. Do not write for the wall. Write to stop your hand. Do not write to feel in control. Write in order to actually be in control. Feelings will still show up, but they will have to line up after they read the stop sign at the gate. You hold the keys. Every day check whether the goal sentence still fits your life and context. If it is off, adjust the meaning, not as a cover for what you want right now. You must make sure the risk boundary is a line you can hold on a bad day, not a pretty line for a pretty day. You win by letting these 2 lines live in ordinary days, not only on presentation day or on days of excitement. Living in ordinary days is the proof of discipline. Have you ever written a goal sentence that makes you feel at peace when you read it? Or do you still write goal sentences that only sound nice? Have you ever set a boundary that stops your hand at the right time? Or do you still set boundaries that are easy to slip past when you are impatient? Are you ready to sign your name to these 2 lines and let them screen every idea that wants to enter your portfolio? Reason, boundaries, discipline, practical, calm, steady. Repeat these 2 chains like a breathing rhythm, so every time you try to cross the line, you meet a closed door named commitment. You will feel the power of simplicity in the right place. You do not need more fancy words. You need more honesty with yourself. You do not need another loud lesson. You need 2 lines that live in everyday life. You do not need a new promise. You need new proof. You do not need perfection. You need sincerity. You do not need witnesses. You need consistency when nobody is watching. That is how one goal sentence and one small boundary become a large foundation for a long road. And that is how you behave like an adult with your own money. Every day read the goal once to remember the reason, then glance at the boundary once to remember the responsibility. You must be ready to skip a loud opportunity if it demands that you cross the written line, because crossing today is regret tomorrow. You win by understanding that avoiding one wrong move is worth 10 right moves, because keeping the foundation intact is what decides the long road. That is the wisdom of restraint. What exactly are you investing for? For whom and why is it worth holding yourself steady, even when nobody applauds? Who will take responsibility if you cross the boundary you set when nobody else can sign your name for you? Do you choose clarity or vagueness, discipline or excuse the long road or a passing feeling? Clear goals, clear risk. The base is solid, so allocation can be precise, and the remaining parts do not have to strain to cover for a root mistake. From these two lines, you build allocation and rebalancing bands, so the portfolio keeps coming back to the rails the way you intend. The next chapter goes into asset allocation and rebalancing bands, so each weight has a duty and a proper gate before it enters your house. Chapter 6, Allocation and Tolerance Bands, bringing the portfolio back onto the rails. You have a goal and a boundary. Now it is time to give the portfolio a clear route so it does not drift with the waves. On your tracking sheet, the weights of each asset group appear with their tolerance bands and triggers like painted lane lines that keep the wheels in the right lane. You see the whole picture. You see where each part sits. You see what needs adjustment. A suitable allocation and rebalancing tolerance bands keep the portfolio true to the original intent instead of changing shape with short-term noise. Without these two, every small fluctuation becomes a big excuse to swap strategy for reflex. You slip off the axis, you lose the order, you bleed results. Treat allocation as a map of roles where each asset group has duties and a weight that matches the goal you wrote. Treat tolerance bands as a soft fence that allows normal wiggles but signals you when the portfolio strays too far from the original intent. No complexity needed, no extra words needed. What you need is the right action in the right place. Every day, remember the role of each asset group instead of attaching feelings to each short-term move. You must set tolerance bands so the portfolio pulls itself towards center when it strays beyond the threshold you set. You win by rebalancing when the trigger fires instead of jumping at every tremor out of impatience. Discipline here is a mechanism, not a slogan. Do you know why the portfolio drifts from the original intent? Because markets change or because you keep changing weights to match your feelings? Who is responsible for bringing it back to the right allocation, if not you, the person who wrote the roles for each group from the start? Do you choose bands so the system reminds you, or do you wait for feelings to remind you? Do you choose a system, or do you choose instinct on red-hot days? Start with one simple row of columns, asset group name target weight, allowed band, and the trigger for rebalancing. Leave a space for a short note on the role of each group, so every later decision must check back against the original duty before changing the weight. A tidy table, clear fields. Reasons stated plainly. Do not chase price action. Adjust by the band. Do not call noise a trend. Call it by its name noise. Do not rewrite a role because of a short-term shake. Do not add theatrics. Keep the proper roles. Do not decorate decisions. Give decisions discipline. Do not seek a feeling. Seek alignment with the goal. These two rows of opposites keep you from chasing every turn and forgetting the long road. You stay on the road, you do not scribble a new one. Weights, bands, triggers, frame, discipline, control. These two tricolons are the heartbeat of a disciplined portfolio, one beat for outer structure and one beat for inner discipline. When that beat is steady, long-term advantage has room to grow. When the market pushes one group beyond its band, you rebalance by moving it back near the target instead of letting it drag the whole portfolio into a new shape. When a group drops below its band, you add according to its role, not according to fear, so balance returns fairly to the whole picture. Less swaying, less improvising, less regret. Every day, scan your allocation table like checking the mirror in the morning to see whether the portfolio still sits straight or has slipped outside its set frame. You must let the band serve as the official signal so feelings no longer have the loudest voice in the room when headlines blare. You win by hearing the signal and acting by the rule instead of hearing the feeling and acting by reflex. Objective signal. A steady hand on the wheel. Do you see that without bands, you will always have the excuse to wait and see until drifting becomes a habit that is hard to fix? Do you see that with bands, the question, act, or hold becomes, has the trigger fired yet, which is shorter and more transparent? Do you see that once criteria are clear, you need less justification and fewer borrowed stories to let yourself change course? If a group runs too fast, you do not rush to think it will run forever. You ask, what is its role, then bring the weight back to the duty. If a group lags too long, you do not assume it will lag forever. You ask, when do I add, based on the trigger, not on impatience. Role leads, band signal, action follows the frame. Do not size up or down by mood. Size by role. Do not bend the band to fit feelings. Tune feelings to fit the band. Do not indulge the habit of excuse. Do not ask for a day of exception. Ask for a stable rule. Do not try it once for the experience. Do it right because you already promised. Do not swap the frame when it is hard. Stand still and let the frame do its work. You will be surprised at how much calmer you feel because the question changed from how do I feel to has it triggered. Language changes, behavior changes. Your target weight is the center. The band is the border. The trigger is the signal. The portfolio frame is the rails. Discipline is the train. Control is the driver. Each three parts set in its proper place will simplify a dozen needless confusions, so decisions become short and correct. Short to be clear, clear to be usable. When you are tired, you are quick to let it slide this time, and each slide is a small crack in the habit of discipline. When you are bored, you are quick to do anything, which often becomes pressing the button at the wrong time just to change a feeling. Pause one beat, look back at one frame, perform one proper move. You win by letting the allocation speak first, the band speak second, and you speak last. You win by doing fewer right moves rather than many clever ones because bands reward steadiness, not haste. You win by letting the trigger lead. If it is outside the band, pull it back. If it is not, hold still. If it is far outside, act decisively. Simple yet persistent. Do you know why the portfolio drifts from the original intent? Because markets change color, or because you like to optimize every evening? Who brings it back to the right allocation? The writer of the frame or the storyteller? The promise keeper or the exception seeker? Do you choose the band to be your reminder, or do you choose the pounding heartbeat to be your reminder? Do you choose the objective signal or the breathless chest? Weights, roles, gauge, trigger, action, record. Put these three pairs on one page and you have a quiet but trustworthy process for fixing drift without noise. Quiet in order to be sharp. Do not call rebalancing heavy work. It is preventive maintenance on your car before it fails on a steep road. Do not wait until the wheels leave the lane to yank them back. You will spend more energy and you will be more likely to throw the wheel by feeling. Maintain on time. Fix small and early. Hold the lane from the start. Every day, give allocation one calm look, not to change it, but to confirm it is doing its job. You must respect the bands the way you respect your own fence, both to enjoy the view and to avoid stepping past the line and blaming the weather. You win by treating rebalancing as part of everyday discipline, not as a panicked reaction to rumor. Ordinary rhythm protects the long run. Are you willing to admit that most of your changes come from the feeling that doing nothing feels guilty rather than from a clear trigger? Are you willing to make feelings wait behind the fence of tolerance bands so you have the right to be still when it is not time to do anything? Are you willing to put away every pretty excuse and do the plain correct thing of pulling the weight back to center? Do not press buttons just to be busy. Press when needed. Do not adjust because your hand itches. Adjust because the trigger fired. Do not change to feel in control. Change in order to actually be in control. Do not strip a group of its role because of a few bad weeks. Re-examine its duty in the whole. Do not increase a group's role because of a few good weeks. Ask which goal it serves. You keep the portfolio from becoming a daily scoreboard of emotions. You keep your mind from becoming a megaphone for noise. Weights, borders, center, roles, duties, balance. These phrases are your working language, not performance language, and not language for telling a nice story. Fewer words, more responsibility. When you let bands serve as the gate, you carry less regret later because you had a consistent reason for every pullback. When you let allocation serve as the axis, you argue less with yourself because each group's duty is already clear. Less inner debate, less blaming circumstances, fewer borrowed excuses. Every day, check one very small thing: is the portfolio still inside the allowed band, or has it reached the pullback threshold? You must record your rebalancing moves. No long story needed. One line for the reason and one line for the result, so you keep yourself consistent. Decisions have a lineage. Habits have a backbone. Do you want to feel busy, or do you want to watch your compounding curve grow smoother because you acted less but at the right times? Do you want to trust the trigger signal, or do you want to trust the pounding heartbeat? Which is more trustworthy when your money is on the table? Do you want a modest system that is steady, or an exhausting chase with noise that never sleeps? Weights, bands, triggers, frame, discipline, control. Say them out loud each day until they become reflex, so your hands know when to stop and what to do without long explanations. A new reflex replaces the old one. Do not promote emotion to commander. Promote the system to guide. Do not ask for praise for every pullback. Ask for results over the whole stretch. Do not be jumpy when the drift is small. Watch calmly. Do not be lazy when the drift is large. Act decisively. Do not judge yourself. Record and correct. A portfolio with bands does not need you to shine. It needs you to persist. And persistence is the thing the market always pays for. Do you know why the portfolio drifts from the original intent? Because life is messy, or because you have not empowered a clear mechanism? Who brings it back to the right allocation, the calm you or the panicked you? Which one do you want to give authority to? After allocation, do you want to write the no action rule to protect the days without triggers and to stay quiet at the right moments? The bands are set, the rails are clear. You have an objective mechanism that reminds you to pull back without fancy words and without fear of shifting winds. Now you must know when to do nothing so you do not destroy the advantage of the calm you just built. Next comes the no action rule to stop extra reflexes at the door of the control room. Chapter 7, the no action rule: stays still when you should stay still. When headlines come in waves and the board keeps changing color, your instinct will demand a move to feel better right now. In that moment, you look at the no action section on your rule page, then you close the notebook to keep yourself standing still in the right spot. You breathe more slowly, you see the whole picture, you keep your hand off the button. The no action rule keeps you from hurried decisions when markets are noisy, so you respond by principle instead of reacting from fear. Without this rule, you will pay for your feelings with costly moves, then justify them with a story that only sounds reasonable. You lose your calm, you lose your order, you lose yourself. If you do not define clearly when to stay still, your brain will label every change as urgent and push you into a loop of action just to ease restlessness. If you do not have a stop list, every bit of noise will have the right to jump into the driver's seat and steer you far from the original goal. You act just to act. You regret it right after. You stay tired for a long time. Every day, remember the conditions for non-intervention to remind yourself that calm is also a deliberate strategic move. You must honor the stop when the trigger threshold has not been reached because the threshold is the fence that protects decisions from short-term fear. You win by accepting silence at the right time so long-term results outrun the need to prove yourself in the moment. The discipline of staying still is not passive. It is the active choice to avoid the wrong move. Have you ever wished you had not reshuffled your portfolio because of one hot headline, only to see later that the real reason was restlessness? Who will hold you back if not the rule you wrote signed and placed where you see it every day? Do you choose deliberate steadiness, or do you choose to chase swings and then soothe yourself with everybody slips? Here is how to write the no action section on a single page in everyday words that cannot be misunderstood, sharp enough to block excess reflexes. 1. Stay still when moves are inside the tolerance band and have not triggered rebalancing, because that is noise within the boundary. 2. Stay still when there is no new evidence that changes the thesis, because loud news is not data. 3. Stay still right after you make a large move to avoid a chain of actions driven by unease. 4. Stay still when sources are unclear or conflicting, because vagueness does not deserve a real action. 5. Stay still when you are tired, hungry, angry, or unusually excited, because extreme moods rarely produce correct decisions. 6. Stay still when the only reasons are I want to get back to even or I fear missing out, because those are the language of emotion, not the language of goals. 7. Stay still when the new decision does not serve the written goal or would breach the committed risk boundary. 8. Stay still when allocation is still inside its band, because the system has not called for an action. Write one short line for each situation, then let those lines stand as the gatekeepers against every impulsive urge. Do not react. Respond by principle. Do not listen to noise. Listen to criteria. Do not run after fear. Return to the boundary. Do not be impatient. Be steady. Do not ask for exceptions. Respect the frame. Do not tell a good story. Do the right work. These two sets of opposites restore your position. You are the one who steers behavior, not the one dragged by it. When your position is clear, the noise gets quieter. Stop, wait, confirm. Calm, solid, sufficient. This triad is the breathing rhythm of a mature investor, one who waits for answers that reach full strength instead of rushing to fill the gap. When the breath is even, your hands are steady. When you are tired, you want to press just to get it over with, because the feeling of I did something eases you for a few minutes. When you are bored, you want to try a move to feel in control, even though you are really adding tangle. Pause one beat. Read one line. Set the notebook on the table. You win by letting the stop rule speak first, the tolerance band speak second, and only then do you speak last. You win by trading a few hours of silence for many weeks of calm, because timely silence always costs less than late repairs. You win by remembering that staying still is also a decision with reasons, criteria, and responsibility attached. Stay still to be right, not to hide. Have you ever written plainly without new evidence? I will not change my thesis, or do you still say, let me see, and then change from fear? Have you ever written, if the move comes from wanting to get back to even, I am not allowed to press, or do you still call it a good opportunity? Have you ever told yourself, if the band has not triggered, I will not touch the allocation, or do you still grant yourself flexibility for the situation? Stop, wait, confirm. Be still, observe, record. These short clusters are not for wall art. They belong in front of your mouse as a safety command you force yourself to obey. Saving yourself from your own emotions is the kindest act you can do for your future. Do not call restlessness being proactive. Call it by its name, impatience. Do not call rationalization strategy. Call it what it is, excuse. Do not hate emotion. Teach emotion to wait. Do not dismiss silence. Understand that silence is useful. Do not fall into extremes. Stand in the middle ground of clear thinking. When the language changes, the brain understands that silence is part of the job, not the enemy of progress. You will need less self-comfort after each near miss. Every day, scan the no action section before you scan the news so your brain has a clear order of priority. You must respect that list the way you respect your own fence, because the fence protects you from your habit of breaking fences. You win by letting criteria set the beat, not emotions, so action happens only when it is truly needed. Fewer moves to be more correct. Have you ever wished someone would pull your hand back at the last second? Or are you still expecting willpower to carry the day in a storm? Who will hold you back if not the rule you wrote signed and treat as a personal honor code? Once you know how to stop, do you want to learn how to maintain long-term discipline with small daily rituals? Staying still is a decision, not a surrender, because staying still helps you hold the risk boundary and honor the goal you wrote. The rule makes that decision easier because it replaces vagueness with words, instinct with criteria, and haste with order. You become calmer after every well-timed pause, and your portfolio becomes sturdier after every avoided extra move. The next section is about maintenance, short repetitions, gradual exposure, and ritualizing, so discipline becomes a habit you can live with. Chapter 8. Ritualizing, keeping discipline alive in ordinary days. Discipline does not stand on its own in a storm. It lives on the small rituals you repeat on ordinary days. You open your rule page like you open your front door, step into familiar order, and only then touch the portfolio. You read the key lines. You turn the noise down. You keep yourself steady. Discipline lives on simple rituals repeated in everyday life, not on sudden inspiration or a single blazing burst of resolve. One short ritual tells your brain its role, its order, and when to keep your hands off the buttons to protect the goals you wrote. Less tangle, less confusion, less regret. If you skip the ritual, each fluctuation grabs the lead role and walks you in circles just to buy a few minutes of comfort. If you have no opening order, decisions will come from restlessness, not from the principles you sign. You slip off the rhythm, you change your mind, you run yourself down. Every day, touch your rule page before any decision, so your brain drops into the correct working mode. You must keep the environment low noise, so headlines do not climb into the driver's seat whenever the feed accelerates and emotions start to surge. You win by repeating one short ritual again and again, so the right behavior becomes reflex instead of a tense effort. Ritual is a soft fence that protects you from weak moments. Do you have a ritual of opening the page before you decide? Or do you still dive straight into the screen and click to ease the itch? Who controls your information environment, if not you, the person who is ultimately responsible for your own results? Do you choose less noise to keep discipline or more noise to feed anxiety and call it close monitoring? You open the rule page, read a few key lines, and take your hand off the mouse for one beat so your brain can recall the order. You look again at the role of each asset group, then ask whether the next move serves the goal or only serves a feeling. You breathe slowly, you test one reason, you close the notebook. Not fancy but steady, not showy but quietly effective, not for display but for quiet execution done right. Do not seek thrills. Seek consistency. Do not change the ritual with your mood. Keep the order by principle. Do not ask for exceptions. Ask for responsibility. These pairs of opposites move you out of the land of commentary and into the land of durable action. Discipline lasts only when it is simple enough to be hard to break. Remind, look, remember, steady, sufficient, correct. These 2 3-part chains are the yardstick for every ritual, a prompt to set the frame, a look to check against the frame, a memory to keep your word. When all 6 are met, the ritual stands on its own. On tiring days, you want to do something now to feel in control, even though you are only chasing impatience. On dull days, you want to click for the sake of clicking, then regret a move that served no written goal. Pause one beat. Read one line. Choose one role. You win by letting ritual open the road, by letting principles hold the map, by buckling emotion into the back seat. You win by using a few right steps, open the page, read the key lines, check roles. Check the bands only, then allow yourself to think about action. You win by remembering that habit beats willpower on bad days, so you need the right habit, not louder slogans. Habit is the muscle of discipline. Do you truly need more news, or do you need less noise so you can hear the voice of your written principles? Do you want to keep stockpiling pretty reasons, or to keep compounding the quiet instances of doing the right thing when nobody claps? Are you willing to grow motivation on this base of maintenance so the spark does not evaporate after a few beats of excitement? Remind, look, keep. Quiet, clear, straight. Each cluster drops like an anchor, stopping the boat from spinning with every wind shift on the surface. The less ornament, the more endurance. Do not turn ritual into a showy ceremony. Keep it short so you can use it every day. Do not add pretty words. Add responsibility to the words. Do not treat ritual as a lucky charm. Treat it as the way you enter the work. Do not wait for a fair day. Use ritual to walk through the hard day. Do not paste slogans. Install reflexes. When the role is understood, ritual does not slow you down. It only reduces mistakes. Fewer mistakes always cost less than one grand flourish, followed by many errors. Every day, place a small, quiet gap before each decision to remind the brain that principle comes before feeling. You must switch off sources of noise that do not serve the goal and keep a few anchors in writing to pull you back to center. You win by repeating a few right moves, because one correct move repeated many times is stronger than one burst of inspiration. Consistency beats spectacle. You may treat ritual as the safety lock right before the button, not to forbid, but to ask one clarifying question. You may treat ritual as a pocket compass, not to predict the future, but to remind you of the true heading when the sky is cloudy. A lock to slow down, a compass to hold the line, words to hold yourself. Every day, touch your rule page before you touch the market screen to recall the order goals roles, risk bands, no action. You must keep words tight, because tighter words are harder to wiggle around, and the harder they are to wiggle around, the easier they are to keep, especially when you are tired and hurried. You win by letting the ritual live where your eyes land most often, so it appears at the right time in the right role. It is there to work, not to decorate. Do you have a ritual of opening the page before deciding, or do you still hope willpower will beat emotion each time? Who controls your information environment, if not you, the person who can choose to mute or unmute the noise? From this base of maintenance, are you ready to grow motivation the right way and avoid burning yourself out with short surges of hype? Remind, look, remember, steady, sufficient, correct. Small rituals feed big discipline, because a little done right goes far, while a lot done messy breaks on the first steep hill. You need endurance, not fireworks. Do not wait for praise to act. Act because you already promised. Do not count minutes to brag. Live a pattern to keep. Do not use inspiration as the measure. Use consistency as the standard. Do not hang pretty slogans. Stick working words. Do not wait for someone to nudge you. Nudge yourself. Do not speak to sound good. Do the work the right way. As words shrink, work becomes clear, and the long road appears. Your mind feels lighter, your portfolio carries less noise. Each day, your ritual only needs to be enough to install the reflex, open the page, read the key lines, check roles, ask one question, then stay still if it is not time. You must be honest with yourself. Is the ritual happening, or is it sitting on paper as a nice idea? You win by letting the way you live carry you, so you do not have to brace against every storm with thin willpower. The way you live is stronger than a rush of inspiration. Do you choose less noise to keep discipline, or more noise to feed anxiety? Do you choose quiet habits or flashy moves that leave you tired? Do you choose a simple daily ritual you can actually do, or a complex ceremony you abandon halfway? Do you choose durable order or a good-sounding story? Small rituals build big discipline. Less but right lasts long. You travel far on repeated moves that do not need spotlights or applause, only honesty with yourself. Next comes motivation and vision, how to light the fire to the right level so it fits the discipline you have built. Chapter 9. Motivation and Vision. Keeping your resolve when markets shake. When people are chattering loudly and the screen keeps flashing, what you need is not a new move. What you need is an old but correct reminder, a simple line that pulls you back to the direction you wrote on day one. You read the reason again. You slow your breathing. You stand still for one beat. Right motivation is a reminder of direction, not a brief spark that flares and dies in the noise of a volatile session. It does not promise thrills. It simply keeps you out of the intoxication of wins and losses and gives you a rope to hold when the wind shifts without warning. Less show, less vagueness, fewer slip-ups. Without the right motivation, you will swing from excitement to panic and call that chain of feelings experience. Without a clear vision, you will change direction with each hot headline and justify it with stories that sound very convincing. You lose your center, you lose your bearings, you lose your own promise. Every day, remember why you invest so the noise no longer schedules your emotions. You must put long-term results before short-term feelings, so each decision has a firm anchor when the waves rise. You win by seeing beyond a single move past one session over one short hill to the longer road. Motivation does not push you to sprint. It keeps you from quitting. Have you ever quit after one sharp drop, even though your thesis had not changed in meaning? Who keeps you on the road if you do not keep yourself with one clear sentence, one clear axis, one clear destination? Do you choose the long-term destination or the feeling of this moment, a durable identity, or passing spikes of excitement? Put one short line in front of you that you trust. I invest to serve this goal, and I accept walking through the necessary hills. When the crowd turns up, the volume read that line again, so it turns the noise down and resets the order goal. First method, second feelings last. One firm line, one bright axis, one slower beat. Do not be drunk on winning and losing. Be devoted to discipline. Do not seek praise. Listen to principles. Do not live by commentary. Live by the frame. Do not drown in hot headlines. Stand in clear conviction. Do not pace slogans. Keep one working sentence. Do not hunt for inspiration. Grow habits. These two sets of opposites lift you out of the crowd and put you in your own driver's seat. There you set the rhythm. Direction, destination, road. Still, focused, forward. The first triad points to the map. The second points to how to walk. They meet at the place you call responsibility. With a map and a way to walk a hill is only a hill. On tired days, you will want a pleasant story that lets you turn off the path, but that story always costs more than you think. On dull days, you will want a move that gives you the feeling of doing something, but that move often tangles what you have built. Do not rush, do not rationalize, do not polish the words. You win by keeping a small light at the right range. Remind the reason, remind the boundary, remind the roles. Then let time do its part. You win by naming the feeling, accepting that it is present, then seating it in the back like a polite passenger. You win by giving yourself permission to go slow for a stretch so you can go on for a long time. Distance beats speed. Have you asked yourself, if I quit here, am I loyal to the goal or to the most comfortable feeling? Have you asked, if I change course today, what evidence signs the order? Or is it just fear knocking when I am weak? Have you committed, I will let one clear sentence speak louder than the whole room, even when nobody stands with me? Direction, markers, tempo, conviction, principles, action. This chain is not for the wall. It is for getting through a bad day with the axis intact. Keep yourself and results will line up. Do not build motivation on slogans. Build it on one sentence that works. Do not hang vision in the clouds. Put it on the ground in everyday language. Do not promise more. Keep the promise. Do not beg for calm waters. Ask for clarity. Do not fear the hills. Fear losing your direction. When the language is real, the road becomes real. Reality lasts longer than charm. Every day, open your rule page, read the reason again. Then look at a marker that stretches beyond the noise of one session. You must ask yourself, does this decision serve the destination or the moo, the long road or a short story? You win by choosing the long destination, accepting no spotlight, accepting no applause, only you and your commitment. Commitment pays. Have you stopped halfway up the hill and turned back because nobody walked beside you, even though the destination was just beyond the bend? Who reminds you to continue if not the calm version of you who wrote instructions for the confused version of you? Are you ready to harden into an identity with principles, or do you still want to live with feelings that swing like weather? Still, solid, steady, straight, true, durable. These words may sound plain, but they are the materials for a bridge across storm season, not fireworks for a single night. A strong bridge lets travelers cross with confidence. Do not measure by excitement. Measure by consistency. Do not let the crowd set the tempo. Let the frame set the tempo. Do not live by sessions. Live by goals. Do not call quitting flexibility. Call it what it is, fatigue and fear. Do not call holding your breath resolve. Call it what it is, avoidance. Do not call excuse-making reason. Call it what it is, circling. When you name things correctly, you can treat them correctly. Treating them correctly is the only path to calm. Direction, destination, road, vision, priorities, order. Repeat these two chains when your heart beats fast so the words pull you back to the center line where clear decisions usually appear. The center line is where adulthood lives. Every day, choose a vision that is specific enough to touch wide enough to travel real enough that you do not have to perform it. You must accept the quiet stretches nobody notices because they build the base for progress that does not need noise. You win by treating calm as part of progress, slow as part of correct, plain as part of durable. Only durable gets you through the storm. Do you want to be the person who changes mind by headline or the person who holds course by evidence? Do you want to be the person who needs the crowd to feel safe or the person who has one strong sentence to steady yourself? Do you want to be the storyteller or the person who lives one firm line you wrote yourself? Direction, goal, promise. Do not quit. Do not bend. Do not rationalize. When these three share one page, you only need to open it to remember why you started. Those who remember why they started rarely quit halfway. You do not need more slogans. You need more honesty. You do not need more hype. You need more consistency. You do not need more witnesses. You need one more kept promise when nobody sees. You do not need to chase noise. You need to leave it outside the door. You do not need to dodge emotion. You need to seat it in the correct chair. You do not need to judge yourself. You need to take responsibility. When the role is clear and the work is clear, your heart settles. When your heart settles, your hands steady. Every day, say one chosen line to yourself quietly, then let that line guide your hand through a shaky session. You must set limits on the story in your head, because the longer the story, the weaker the decision. You win by letting a short line be stronger than a long speech by letting fewer words do more work. Fewer, sharper, truer. Have you ever quit after one sharp drop when there was no evidence that the thesis had changed? Who keeps you on the road if not you, the person ultimately responsible for results with your name on them? Do you choose the long-term destination or the feeling of this moment a durable identity or one good night of sleep because you pressed the button and got it over with? Direction, destination, road. Still, focused, forward. Right motivation calms, because it says little but right hits the mark and stays concise, repeats, and endures. Clear vision leads because it gives you a reason to endure the hills, not a reason to hide. You need one image plain enough that you do not have to perform it each time you recall it, like a long road under shade with a few mile markers you placed yourself. You need one line firm enough to stand in the wind, like a safety rope tying you to the goal when your foot slips. A road to walk, a rope to hold, a line to remember. Every day, let motivation guard the gate. Let vision be the road sign, and let yourself be the driver who chooses the right tempo. You must dare to face yourself at your weakest and still say one sentence you wrote on a calm day. I stay with the destination. You win by keeping your eyes far enough to steady your hands up close so decisions do not go blind from noise right in your face. Far enough, near enough. Are you ready to crystallize into a principled identity, a person who can name fear and still hold the road? Are you ready to let the sentence you wrote become the habit you live instead of the slogan you hang? Are you ready to step into the final chapter where all the pieces join into a new name you can speak with confidence? Right motivation calms because it does not push, it supports. It does not dazzle, it illuminates. It does not act for you, it reminds you. Clear vision leads because it does not paint clouds, it draws the road. It does not promise speed, it promises durability. It does not call it luck, it calls it responsibility. From here, you continue without a cheer, carrying one true sentence in your pocket. The final chapter will bring everything together and name your new identity on the road you chose. Chapter 10. A new identity, an investor who lives by a one-page IPS. On your desk, the one-page rule sheet sits exactly where your eyes land first every time you sit down. It is not decoration. It is a mirror that reminds you of the person you chose to be in every money decision. You look once. You remember one thing. You keep one habit. Your identity is a principled investor, not a weather-reactive person who changes color with every headline. From today on, you no longer introduce yourself with scattered wins and losses, but with a way of living that matches the page you signed. Less show, less justification, fewer slip-ups. If you do not name the identity, you will be dragged by the crowd's noise and the urge to do something right now just to feel better. If you do not stand on one clear side, you will let the market define you, then feel lost every time the screen turns red. Your identity wobbles, your habits wobble, your decisions wobble. Each day, choose exactly one principle to keep instead of trying to keep everything and keeping none of it. Let results sign the page. Seat emotions in the back. Put words to work. Let habits serve as proof. You win by living in line with what you wrote so well that others can predict what you will do on a bad day. A consistent person is more trustworthy than an exciting story. Do you want to be known as the person of principle or the person who changes when the wind picks up? Who will respect your plan if you yourself do not respect it when things are hard and you are tired? Do you choose to keep this new identity today or let the next session decide who you are? Place the one-page sheet where you cannot miss it and let it be the simple first step for every money move. When your hand is about to click, glance at one line and ask, does this decision belong to the person I chose to be or to a passing impulse? Read one line. Ask one question. Keep one beat. Do not ask for luck. Ask for discipline. Do not wait for fair weather. Prepare for headwinds. Do not borrow the crowd. Borrow principles. Do not speak to sound good. Act to be true. Do not collect slogans. Use short lines that are hard to wiggle around. Do not chase thrills. Hold to what is right. These pairs of opposites guard your identity from the habit of making excuses when you are weak. The clearer the fence, the straighter the path. Write, keep, mature, see, choose, act. These 2-3-part chains summarize an identity that works in ordinary days, not only in talk. A real identity is not loud. It repeats quietly. On tiring days, you will want to turn left because the road ahead looks steep and empty. On dull days, you will want to do something just to have a story, even though it does not serve your written goal. Do not turn fast. Do not narrate fast. Do not click fast. You win by keeping the order. Read one line, check one roll, ask one question, then allow your hand to act. You win by letting your promise to yourself be louder than the noise, your principles larger than your excitement, your boundary larger than your anger. You win by acting as the gatekeeper of your identity, not letting emotions slip into the most important moments. The gatekeeper stays clear-headed. Direction markers, tempo, frame, discipline, control. Each triad is a switch that flips your long-term memory back on when the short-term session tries to pull you off the road you chose. When the switch is clear, the light comes on quickly. You do not need more new promises. You need fewer kept ones repeated often enough to become a way of living. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You need to walk through a bad day without many words. Less rallying, less explaining, less pleading. Do not play the forecaster, play the keeper of order. Do not boast big goals, keep small behaviors. Do not run to the market's tempo. Walk to your own rhythm. Do not seek the label smart. Accept the label on time. Do not demand instant results. Demand consistency. Do not fear slow. Fear losing direction. You change the measure of success from praise to alignment. Alignment lasts. Write, pin, remind, examine, filter, choose. That is your process for every money decision, so each one has a birth certificate and a family tree. Decisions with a lineage are rarely orphaned. Do you want to be known as principled or fickle, a keeper of boundaries or a fence jumper, a person who knocks or a person who kicks the door, who will respect your plan if you do not respect it when the market dares you to be different? Are you ready to expand principles to every financial choice from spending and saving to planning the big items? Right, keep mature, straight, true, durable. The new identity does not live only on paper. It lives in how you touch each button and how you close the notebook at the right time. A button needs a reason. A page needs weight. Every day, choose exactly one principle to hold, because one small repeated habit beats hundreds of bursts of fragile excitement. Give the life cycle of your money a person in charge, and that person carries your name under the signature on the one-page sheet. You win by living like someone who has reported to yourself, who can look in the mirror without needing a defense. Plainness feeds peace. You look at the page and see a person with order, not a messy wall chart meant to impress. You look back a few months and see you do less and get it right, rather than do more and wander. Less and deeper rather than more and thin. Less to be sure, less to be clear, less to be durable. Do not forget who you are when waves rise. Remind yourself who you are before they rise. Do not swap roles between emotion and principle. Put the right person in the right seat. Do not ask the crowd to approve your new identity. Prove it with repeatable moves. Do not study storytelling. Study keeping silent when silence is due. You do not need an audience. You need backbone. Backbone is discipline with a signature. Direction, destination, road. Look, understand, do. These short lines keep your view far enough not to trip up, close and close enough not to daydream far away. The right-size view breeds the right-size calm. Do you see that the one-page sheet protects more than money? It protects your self-respect every time you keep your word. Do you see that every time you do not cross the boundary, you quietly compound the respect you hold for yourself? Deeper self-respect, thicker self-trust, real freedom. You win by making your words match your actions, your name match your way of living your goals, match your moves. You win by valuing consistency over shock value, the durable road over the hurried one, responsibility over promises. You win by letting people predict how you will handle a bad day exactly as you wrote. That is the sign of an identity. Do you want to be known as a person of principle or as a person who changes easily, a signer, or a head nodder following the news? Who will respect your plan if you do not, and what will you say to yourself when you look back? Do you choose to keep this identity today, even when nobody's watching? Write, keep, mature, see, choose, act. Distilled into one page, you have a frame to go far, an inner voice that is short and firm, a way of living that is lean and right. Fewer right words, many quiet years. You do not need another page. You need to live the page you have. You do not need more noise. You need less noise. You do not need more witnesses. You need one more kept promise. You do not need luck to bless you. You need discipline to run. You do not need miracles. You need habits. You do not need long explanations. You need to do the work. Your new identity will introduce itself every time you stay still at the right moment and act in the right place. Others do not need to believe. You only need to keep. Every day you and the one-page sheet meet early to agree on roles. It points the way you take responsibility. Emotions wait for orders. You will feel your calm grow week by week like a muscle because it is trained by small repeated moves. You will see your decisions become tighter, clearer, fewer, and heavier because each decision carries the name of your new identity. Less but deeper always beats more but thin. Do you want to move on as a person of principle or return to weather-driven reactions and call it flexibility? Do you want the durable destination or the instant feeling respect from yourself or an easy story from others? Do you want to expand principles to every financial decision or keep them in a corner and hope for miracles? Write, keep, mature, straight, true, durable. Identity is not in what you say. It is in what you repeat when nobody looks and the sky is not pretty. The journey does not end here. Every decision from now on returns to that one page. A journey of maturity does not need fireworks. It needs a one-page rule sheet that stands upright on noisy days and on quiet days. You have built the frame, named the emotions correctly, and placed your signature to accept responsibility for every decision. Less talking to sound clever, more doing it right, durable enough to go far. Do not ask for luck. Ask for discipline. Do not chase hot headlines. Chase evidence. Do not run by sessions. Walk by the written goal. Do not change colors with the weather. Hold yourself to principles. Do not ask for exceptions. Ask for responsibility. Do not go easy on the habit of making excuses. You grow up when the language changes, when words do the work, and when silence has a clear reason. That is when the new identity truly appears. That is when the road straightens. Write, pin, keep. Clear goals, clear risk, clear moments to stop. These two three-part chains are your master nails fastening the frame, the role, and the responsibility. When the nails are tight, the noise is hard to pry in. You feel more at ease. Every day, choose exactly one principle to keep as you promised yourself on a calm day. Let results sign the page, seat emotions in the back. Let the band remind you to pull back, and let the no-action rule stop your hand when you are restless. You win by living in line with what you wrote long enough for habit to become reflex and reflex to become a way of living. The new way will protect you when the waves grow large, and big waves always come. Do you want to be known as a person of principle or a person who changes course when the wind shifts outside the window? Who will respect your plan if you yourself do not respect it in tired and hot minutes? Will you let one page govern your emotions or let emotions tear the page you already signed? Direction, markers, tempo, frame, discipline, control. This is your pocket map, short enough to read daily, firm enough to stand in the wind, real enough to do the work. When the map is clear, the road is straighter. You get lost less. Do not speak to impress. Act to be true. Do not collect slogans. Keep one working sentence. Do not brag about being smart. Keep your own appointments with yourself. Do not seek the feeling of winning and losing. Seek alignment between goal, roles, and actions. Do not fear slow. Fear losing direction. Do not fear silence. Fear vagueness. When the measure shifts from loud to an alignment, your inner strength sinks deeper and calm rises to the surface. Calm is an advantage. Advantage is quiet. Write, see, choose, examine, sift, do. You already have the order, the fence, and the signal. The rest is to live the page that sits right in front of you. The page does not judge you. It simply reminds you. Each day, say one chosen line softly to guide your hand through a shaky session without applause. You must be honest about the reason for action, because the longer the story, the weaker the decision, while one short, correct line leads your hand back into the light. You win by letting a short line be stronger than a long speech, by making fewer moves at the right time, and by letting results speak for you. Less but deeper beats more but thin. The long road pays. Are you ready to extend principles to every money decision beyond the portfolio so that one consistent person shows up at every fork? Are you ready to keep this new identity even when nobody is watching, so your self-respect thickens little by little without slogans? Are you ready to let the words you wrote become the habits you live instead of a pretty page lying on the desk? Write, keep, mature, straight, true, durable. This is a simple closing for a journey that does not look for miracles, only for a way of living that is right place, right role, right time. Fewer right words, many quiet years. You know what you are doing. You do not need another page. You need to live the page you have. You do not need more witnesses. You need one more kept promise. You do not need miracles. You need habits. You do not need to win every curve. You need not to leave the road. You do not need to hear a lot. You need to hear one right line. You do not need fast. You need correct. When you stay still at the right moment and act in the right place, the new identity introduces itself without a word. Others do not need to believe. You only need to keep. Let the one-page IPS stay where you can see it easily, like a pocket compass that reminds direction, not a picture on a wall. Let every decision return to that page past a short question, and only then move into a clear action. You will see yourself become leaner, clearer, calmer, because every decision has a birth certificate and a responsible person with your name. Distilled into one page, you have a frame to go far, and you will go far.